Hello everyone, and welcome back to Digestible News, your news in digestible English, where we take news stories and turn them into digestible or easy to listen to and easy to read stories in English. My name is Corey, and I'm here to help you learn while staying informed about what's happening in Korea and around the world. Remember, there is a newspaper PDF in the comments down below. This includes a script of what I will say and some big cues or big questions for each article. Without further ado, let's get started for our Monday, July 6th stories. Our first story is in the world of FIFA and the World Cup, specifically about a red card. Our first vocabulary for today will be to suspend. This is a verb. It means to temporarily ban someone from something. It means to temporarily stop, or for a short time, stop them from doing something. For example, the referee suspended the player for one game after the red card. Another sentence you can say is, the referee stopped him from playing for one game after the red card. Same meaning. The next one is to intervene. This is a verb. It means to take an action to influence or change a situation. For example, the president intervened, he changed in the dispute to help solve the problem. Let's begin the story. The 2026 World Cup produced a controversial decision this week, a decision that we cannot all agree on. FIFA took away the red card suspension of American football star Folarin Balogun. This decision allowed him to play in a crucial match against Belgium on Monday. Balogun received a red card in the round of 32 match against Bosnia-Herzegovina on Wednesday. He was the top scorer for the U.S. team with 3 goals in the tournament. The red card came after he stepped awkwardly on an opponent's ankle. According to football rules, a red card automatically suspends a player. There's our key word. Automatically suspends a player for one game. If you get a red card, you are suspended no matter what, instantly. But this week, FIFA made an unusual move. The organization announced that Balogun's suspension was lifted, was taken away. This was extraordinary because it was the first time since 1962 that a red card during a World Cup did not result in a suspension. This is the first time in many, many years. President Donald Trump played a role in this decision. Trump called FIFA President Gianni Infantino after the match to ask FIFA to review the red card. According to people familiar with the conversation, Trump asked that FIFA reconsider the suspension. He asked FIFA to think about it one more time. Reconsider, rethink. Trump released a statement saying, "Thank you to FIFA for doing what was right and reversing a great injustice." This is his words. The U.S. coaching staff praised the decision. Coach Mauricio Pochettino said the team had been punished enough by playing with only 10 players for 30 minutes. But not everyone agreed with FIFA's action. Belgium's Football Association said it was astonished or shocked, surprised by the decision. Belgium coach Rudi Garcia criticized FIFA, comparing the decision to April Fool's Day. He said, "I think it's the first time in the history of the World Cup that there is this kind of decision." Belgium's federation indicated that they might appeal the decision to the Court of Arbitration for Sport. Indicated is a verb meaning showed or suggested. They suggested they might appeal. They might ask to review the review with the Court of Arbitration. It's part of the Court of Arbitration for sport, is the court that decides things for sports. Balogun is a talented 25-year-old who plays for the French club Monaco. He had matched the record for the second most goals by an American player in a single World Cup. Now, for our second story, we're going to move in a completely different direction, back here in Seoul, and talking about introverts. Our first vocabulary is authentic. This is an adjective. It means genuine or real, not false, not artificial, authentic. For example, she wanted to have an authentic conversation without pretending to be someone else. Things can also be authentic. Like an authentic violin would be a real violin versus a make-believe, or not make-believe, like a knockoff. Another one is an authentic Louis Vuitton. This means it's really from Louis Vuitton and not a fake one. Meaningful is our second word. This is an adjective. It means important and worth paying attention to. For example, the discussion was meaningful because it touched on real issues in our lives. I hope that this podcast is meaningful for you guys, for example. Let's begin. A new social trend is growing in Seoul. Young adults are attending introvert parties. These are quiet social gatherings designed for people who prefer calm environments. These events offer an alternative, a different to traditional noisy nightlife. This is an alternative to noisy nightlife. At a recent gathering called Deep Talk Club, 6 people sat around a table and discussed a philosophical question. The question was, what does it mean to live authentically? The room was dimly lit with quiet music playing in the background. Dimly means the lights are really low, like this. Dimly lit. Instead of loud conversation and drinking, participants used self-introduction cards to help them talk about meaningful topics. These introvert parties are becoming more common in Seoul. On Instagram, there are more than 500 posts with the hashtag introvert party. The events appear on community apps alongside wine parties, board game gatherings, and speed dating events. Many people attend these parties looking for romantic partners, but they also go to meet like-minded individuals and have genuine conversations, authentic conversations. Unlike traditional parties, introvert gatherings focus on small groups and meaningful discussion. Discussion being a conversation about a topic. Some events even restrict or ban alcohol. That is to say, these are the words of the introvert parties. Meaningful discussion also happens at very extroverted parties. Personally, I've been to many extroverted gatherings where we have very deep conversations. But these are the descriptions of these types of moim, or gatherings, excuse me. A 33-year-old attendee named Hall said the gathering suited him perfectly. It was comfortable because the lighting was not too bright and I could choose whether to speak and what topics to discuss, he said. The format works for both introverts and extroverts. A 26-year-old extrovert named Choi Ji-won said, I like the comfort when conversing with introverts. You can have a calm conversation without excessive reactions. I also agree. Many of my friends are actually very introverted. However, psychology experts warn against over-reliance. Over-reliance is a noun meaning depending too much on something, to rely too much, to overly rely on something. On these curated social spaces, curated meaning set up specifically for introverts. Professor Im Myung-ho from Dankook University said introvert gatherings can provide psychological stability, but people should also experience uncomfortable social situations for personal growth. The trend reflects broader changes in Korean dating culture. Young people increasingly seek meaningful connections without the pressure of traditional high-energy social events. And I think many of my introvert friends would agree. But how about you? Are you introverted? Do you agree? Would you rather have a curated event, or do you think it's more important to have uncomfortable events for personal growth? I'm very curious. If you're enjoying digestible news, please give this video a like. Why not? And subscribe to the channel. Liking and subscribing helps other English language learners find this show. It tells the algorithm that we're worth watching. And these days, the algorithm is being a little fickle. So sometimes it shows new people and sometimes it doesn't show at all. So I'd like to help as many as possible. So please help me on that journey. Thank you. Let's move on to our third story. This is about our heat wave warning system here in Seoul. Our first vocabulary is unprecedented. It's a long one. It's an adjective meaning never happened before. Unprecedented. For example, the unprecedented heat wave affected the entire region. We can apply this to the real world. There's an unprecedented heat wave in Europe right now, right? It's never been seen like this. It's quite amazing. The next one is to exceed. This is a verb. It means to go beyond a limit or some amount. For example, the temperature exceeded 40 degrees Celsius in many cities. Let's begin. South Korea made an important change to its weather warning system this week. The Korea Meteorological Administration introduced a new heat wave alert system for the first time in 18 years. Meteorological just means has to do with the weather. Administration is a group that administers, that does some specific action, usually in the government. The change reflects increasing dangers from extreme summer temperatures. The old system had just two levels, a heat wave advisory and a heat wave warning. The advisory was issued when the felt temperature reached 33 degrees Celsius for 2 days. A warning required temperatures of 35 degrees or higher for 2 consecutive days, 2 days in a row. The new system has 3. A heat wave advisory remains at 33 degrees. A heat wave warning now requires 35 degrees for just 1 day, not 2. The important addition is a new top-tier alert called severe heat wave warning. Severe meaning very dangerous or very intense. This alert can be issued if the felt temperature reaches 38 degrees or if the actual air temperature reaches 39 degrees for just 1 day. This change allows authorities to respond immediately to dangerous heat so they can react immediately without hesitation, without waiting for prolonged extreme conditions. Prolonged being long. Prolonged conditions means a certain condition for a long period of time. So a prolonged bout of very high weather, very hot weather, or very cold weather. Extreme heat can cause serious illness and death, even in healthy people. Even I can get heat stroke sometimes. It's very dangerous. The agency also introduced a new tropical night advisory. This alert is issued when nighttime temperatures remain at or above 25 degrees Celsius. A tropical night combined with hot daytime temperatures prevents the body from recovering, returning to normal condition as a verb. Studies show that heat illness patients can increase by up to 90% during tropical nights. Yeah, I'm happy about this alert. It helps me make a plan for the future. The government also expanded the number of warning zones from 183 to 235. This is the first expansion in 22 years. The new zones better reflect temperature differences within the same city, such as between riverside areas and densely built urban neighborhoods. This is very nice because near like Hangang, it's a lot cooler, but once you move into the city, it becomes much, much hotter sometimes. Korea has experienced increasingly hot summers in recent years. These changes will, of course, help protect public health during dangerous heat conditions. What do you guys think? Are you happy about the new advisory system? I like to know when it's going to be very hot, and I tend to get sunburn extremely fast. So I'm very happy to know these kind of things ahead of time. All right, let's move on to our fourth story, back with an update about the Netflix show Teach You a Lesson. The first is the verb to amass. Mass means it's some amount of a substance. To amass is to collect or gather a large amount of something. For example, the company amassed a fortune, amassed a bunch of money through successful business deals. You can amass a bunch of clothes, you can amass a bunch of cards, things like that. To proceed is different than proceed. To proceed is a verb to mean to come before something in time or order. For example, the announcement preceded the official decision by 1 week, where proceed is to continue. See, they're almost the same in sound, so be careful. Let's begin. The Korea drama achieved a major milestone this week. Teach You a Lesson became Netflix's 5th most watched Korean series of all time. The show surpassed the popular 2022 revenge drama The Glory. The series premiered on June 5th and quickly gained international attention. Between June 5th and June 28th, the show accumulated or amassed 46.6 million views. Netflix calculates views by dividing total hours watched by the show's running time. The story follows a fictional organization, little bit spoiler warning here, called the Educational Rights Protection Bureau, the ERPB. The Bureau investigates incidents that occur within Korea's school system. The drama explores all kinds of problems faced by students and educators, as well as parents. Educators is a noun, by the way, that means teachers or people that work with education. Not just teachers, but also like the principals or the teacher's aides, things like that. Teach You a Lesson ranked at the top of Netflix's global top 10 chart for non-English television for 4 consecutive weeks, 4 weeks in a row, 1 month, after its debut, after it was released. This shows strong international interest in Korean dramas that address social issues. The show's success continues a trend of Korean content winning global audiences. According to Netflix data, Squid Game Season 1 remains the most watched Korean series with 265 million views. Squid Game Season 2 has 192 million views, and Season 3 has 145 million views. All of Us Are Dead, a 2022 zombie thriller, ranks 4th with 55 million views. The Glory, which had previously held the 5th position, now ranks 6th with 39 million views. The rapid rise of Teach You a Lesson is showing that Korean audiences care about stories addressing education and social systems. The series features the actor Kim Moo-yeol in a leading role. His performance has been praised by both Korean and international viewers from what I've seen. I just started watching another show with him in it called, what was it? Juvenile Justice. So it has similar themes, but a very different way of approaching it. Very controversial topic, especially in the education sphere. Okay, let's take a quick study break. Question number 1. What verb means to take action, to influence, or to change a situation? Correct. It is to intervene. That is correct. Second question. What adjective means genuine or real, not false or not artificial? Correct. Authentic. Authentic is correct. And the last one. What verb means to collect or gather a large amount of something? If you guessed amass, you are correct. Very good. Let's continue with our next 5th story. This story is a little sad and will be meaningful to many of us here in Seoul. The first word is familiar. This is an adjective. It means well known or recognized by many people. For example, the song was so familiar that everyone sang along. To persist is a verb. It means to continue doing something despite difficulties. Even though it's difficult, you continue. For example, she persisted in her work even while fighting cancer. She persisted even though. Let's begin. Voice actress Kang Hwae-sun passed away on Saturday at age 65. She was famous for her voice in Seoul's subway announcement. Millions of people heard her voice every day when traveling on public transportation. Kang Hwae-sun was diagnosed with colorectal cancer in 2021. The cancer had spread to her liver. Doctors told her she had 2 years to live. Despite her illness, Kang Hwae-sun continued working. She persisted. She underwent 47 rounds of chemotherapy while still recording announcements. She spent more than 14.5 hours in the hospital making new recordings of subway announcements. Her dedication to her work was genuinely, authentically, remarkable. Remarkable is an adjective meaning worthy of some attention or some mark. It's very surprising. Even while fighting cancer, she recorded new versions for Seoul and Busan subway systems. Kang Hwae-sun worked on the Seoul subway announcement project since 1996. She voiced announcements for line 1 through 4. From 2018 onwards, she recorded announcements for lines 5 through 8. Her voice has also appeared in public transit announcements in other cities, including Daejeon, Incheon, and Gwangju. Beyond subway work, Kang Hwae-sun had a long career in voice acting. She made her debut voicing Jane Andrews in the Korean-dubbed version of Anne of Green Gables. She also provided voices for many animated series, including The Rose of Versailles and Ghost in the Shell. Kang Hwae-sun's voice became familiar through international films. She dubbed actors including Sharon Stone, Julia Roberts, and Nicole Kidman in films like Catwoman, Pretty Woman, and Ghostbusters. Seoul Mayor Oh Se-hoon released a statement about her passing. He wrote, "The voice we have heard every morning and afternoon has been assigned to start a bright day and relief that a tiring day has ended. May she rest in peace." Her son, An Eun-seok, said his mother always loved her work as a voice actress. He said she even recorded a subway announcement in the hospital. Her voice had become so much lower that citizens noticed the difference. Sad story indeed, but she will be missed. But her voice will persist in our morning commute and our way home every day. Our next story is about Kookmin University professor winning a top design award. Our first vocabulary is to converge. It's a verb that means to come together or combine. For example, technology and art converge in this innovative design project. Generative is an adjective. It means capable of producing or creating something new. We hear it with generative AI these days. For example, generative artificial intelligence can create images based on text descriptions. A Kookmin University professor won the top prize at an international design exhibition this week. Professor Kim Yoon-hwae received the grand prize for her project called Algorithmic Silhouette. Her work explores creative collaboration between artificial intelligence and humans. Kim Yoon-hwae's project is an avant-garde sculptural sportswear piece. She combined generative AI with her own artistic direction to create the design. The work draws inspiration from architectural forms, modular construction, and dynamic silhouettes. It reinterprets traditional sportswear as a sculptural art object. The project proposes a new visual language that expands boundaries between fashion, art, and digital design. It demonstrates how human creativity and AI algorithms can work together rather than compete. Compete meaning is a verb that means to try to be better than someone else. Competition. Kim created the work through a collaborative process. She used prompt-based AI image generation combined with her own creative interpretation. This approach shows how AI can be a tool that expands designers' creativity rather than replacing designers, according to her. The exhibition was held from June 5th to June 9th at the startup Shihong in Gyeonggi Province. The event brought together designers and artists from Korea and abroad from overseas. This year's exhibition featured two categories, human artists and AI artist collaboration. This highlighted both the expanded role of AI in creative works and its artistic potential. Kim said AI is not a threat to designers. She said, AI is not a technology that replaces designers, but a collaborative tool that expands creativity, she explained. Kookmin University highlighted that Kim's achievement aligns with the school's future vision, called KMU Vision 2035, EDGE. EDGE stands for Entrepreneurship, Digital Transformation, Global Competency, and Environmental and Social Responsibility. Kim's work demonstrates the convergence, the coming together, between design and artificial intelligence, showing potential of interdisciplinary innovation. Our next story is a little bit of a controversial story from social media. Specifically, it's about a foreigner in Jeju doing something a little inappropriate. The first verb we'll learn is disrespect. This is a verb showing to show lack of respect towards something or someone important. For example, disrespecting cultural traditions can hurt community members. To honor is a verb. It means to show respect and recognition for something or someone. For example, the statues honor the Hanja and the important contributions to Jeju culture. To honor something is, for example, to make a statue to honor someone, or to make a building to honor an idea. Like the Statue of Liberty honors the idea of liberty, like this. All right, let's begin. A viral video has sparked outrage in Jeju this week. A foreign man was filmed hugging and kissing a statue honoring the Hanyo, or female divers, near Hamdok Beach. His companions laughed while he made inappropriate gestures towards the statue. The Hanyo are free divers who harvest seafood from the ocean, and they're culturally and historically significant to Jeju Island. The Hanyo are designated as National Intangible Cultural Heritage number 132 and Important Fisheries Heritage number 1. These are all UNESCO recognized designations. The Hanyo culture as intangible UNESCO recognizes Hanyo culture as intangible cultural heritage of humanity. That's what I meant to say. Please excuse me. We all make mistakes. That's okay. Statues honoring the Hanyo have been installed across Jeju since the 1990s. They stand at ports, beaches, and coastal villages. The statues represent respect for these divers and their important role in Jeju society and the history of their culture. The foreign man has reportedly lived on Jeju for about a year. According to reports, he should have understood the cultural significance. Significance meaning importance or meaning of the Hanyo. The Korean man who filmed and uploaded the video later apologized on social media. He said, "I felt ashamed and embarrassed," he posted. The foreign man said he did not realize his actions would be considered offensive. Online criticism was very strong. One user wrote, "There's no way someone living on Jeju wouldn't know what the Hanyo meant to the island. Treating a Hanyo statue like a joke is just ignorant and rude." The Hanyo population on Jeju has been declining, of course. As of December last year, there were 2,371 active. This number has decreased by 252 people, or 9.6% from the previous year. Nearly 2/3 of Hanyo are 70 years old or older, with only 105 divers under 50 years old. This incident highlighted the importance of respecting cultural traditions, especially those tied to aging communities like the Hanyo, and also show that doing something just for views is really problematic. I'm really embarrassed about this one. Right, let's continue into something still sad, but a little less embarrassing. Our first word here today is magical. It's an adjective meaning wonderful and enchanting, beyond normal expectations. For example, the team's magical run surprised everyone who watched them play. To capture is a verb. It means to win or attract something important. For example, Canada's team captured the hearts of Canadian fans with their impressive play. All right, this is to do with FIFA once again, with the World Cup, specifically Canada. Let's go. Canada's remarkable journey in the World Cup came to an end on Saturday. Morocco defeated Canada 3-0 in the round of 16. The loss ended Canada's unprecedented, we learned this word before, it means never happened before, unprecedented run to the round of 16. Canada had never won a knockout match at the World Cup before this tournament. The country is ranked 30th in the FIFA World Rankings, playing in just the third World Cup in the nation's history. Canada captured the hearts of Canadian fans. The country where hockey is king had found unexpected soccer success, so many people were cheering even outside of Canada. Canada beat South Africa 1-0 in the previous round to reach Saturday's match. This was Canada's first ever knockout victory. The team displayed competitive determination, determination being a noun that means strong desire to succeed. The team displayed competitive determination throughout the whole tournament. Midfielder Stefan Eustaquio, I hope I said the name right, scored the goal that defeated South Africa. He expressed pride in the team's accomplishment. He said, "The fact that we were able to be one of the 16 best teams of this World Cup is amazing for the country." He said, "It's amazing for this team, but we have to start from there, realizing that the gap isn't that big." Morocco's Azzedine Ounahi dominated the match against Canada. He scored twice, with his first goal coming in the 50th minute. He added a second goal in the 82nd minute. Soufiane Rahimi added a goal in the final minute of stoppage time. If we remember stoppage, I'm sure you know, but stoppage is the point at the end, kind of like overtime. Canadian coach Jesse Marsh said this team competed well. He said, "I told them that I was proud of them and I challenged them to understand that we can play like this all the time against the best teams in the world," Marsh explained. The loss was really significant because Canada played without star player Alphonso Davies. Davies plays for Bayern Munich but suffered a hamstring injury. He only played 15 minutes as a substitute in the South Africa match and was unavailable Saturday. So even without their star player, they made history. Marsh acknowledged the team's future's challenges, saying there's still more work to do in terms of continuing to build infrastructure and youth academies in the country. Despite the loss, Canada's achievement inspired the nation. The team proved that soccer could compete with hockey for Canadian sports attention. All right, let's go for our final study break here. Question number 1. What verb means to continue doing something despite it being difficult? It means to persist. Good. If you guessed persist, that is correct. Number 2, what verb means to come together or combine? If you guessed converge, you are correct. And what verb means to show respect or recognition for something? If you guessed to honor, you are correct. Good job. Very good job. All right. Our last segment is This Week in History. This Week in History, we'll talk about the Second Japanese-Sino War. This began in July 7th, 1937. The Second Sino-Japanese War began on that date. Japan launched a full-scale invasion of China. The conflict started near Beijing after a minor military incident or military occurrence, military event, between Japanese and Chinese forces. This war became one of the deadliest conflicts of the 20th century. The war lasted until 1945 and was part of the World War II major theater. Japan sought to expand its territory and control resources in China. China fought to defend its sovereignty and independence. The fighting was brutal and millions of people died. Entire cities were destroyed, or razed is another word. Civilians and soldiers both suffered greatly during this war. Japan's invasion of China preceded World War II by several years, but still was part of it in the long run. Many historians view the Second Sino-Japanese War as the beginning of World War II in Asia. When Japan attacked the United States at Pearl Harbor in 1941, the war truly became a world conflict. The war devastated China's economy and infrastructure. However, China's resistance inspired other Asian nations fighting against Japanese expansion. China's determination to fight back showed the power of nationalism and resistance against foreign occupation. The Sino-Japanese War ended when Japan surrendered to Allied forces in 1945. China survived the war and eventually became a major world power that it is today. Thank you so much for listening to this edition of Digestible News. Don't forget the newspaper PDF is in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment with your ideas, your suggestions, what you liked, what you didn't like, or just your thoughts. You can also answer the big Qs, the big questions from the PDF in the comments down below. I, of course, will read each one of them and respond where I can. If you'd like to support the channel, you can become a member using the join link down below, which means I'd like to give a special thank you to the members who support Digestible News. So I'd like to give a special thank you to Dororuk, who's our newest member. Welcome aboard. Thank you so much. Disdentify, thank you so much. Hyunhee Kim, of course, thank you again. DJ Park, good to see you, DJ. Nice to see you. Jin Song, thank you so much. Kim Kyung-ho, good to see you. Thank you so much. Joanne9 Kim, good on you, Joanne9. Parsley, of course, thank you so much. Peter Lee, thank you. Excellent Mango, thank you so much. And our original JKGE9FO. Thank you all so much for supporting this channel. It really helps me grow and helps reach more people. And that's my goal here. And I'm happy to share that goal with all of you. Again, our members only content is coming very soon. I've made a bunch of it. We just need to get the final polishing steps. So please look forward to that. And those of you who want to look into that, please feel free. If you're available, no pressure. You can join in the link down below. Your support means the world to me. Thank you so much for helping me to create this English language learning content. I'll be back this Wednesday with News Made Simple, our beginner level or low level news that is a summary of our previous week's news done in a more digestible English. All right. Until then, keep having fun learning English, stay informed, but above all, stay curious. Bye for now.